Good evening. It's Monday Night Mayhem, where tonight we're going to officially set our phasers to roast as we sort of purview Section 31. Sorry, Star Trek Section 31. But it's not really boldly going where anybody's gone before. And joining me tonight for the first time on the channel, Anti-Derivative Jill. Welcome.
Yes, hello.
How are
Good
you?
to meet you. I'm doing well, despite what I've just seen. And as you said, this is not Star Trek, although I don't like anything past 2005. Everything went to hell is the moment that Les Moonves canceled Star Trek Enterprise.
It's weird that everybody's saying it. After Enterprise, that was it. Star Trek officially died.
Yes, and it's been beaten and beaten ever since. And this is just a culmination of everything that Kurtzman ever wanted. All of his fantasies and are laid bare. And there's no pretense anymore that he's going to.
He's not doing a very good job, is he? You'd think he'd never worked in television before.
No, and that's the thing, is that he watches movies, but he doesn't watch Star Trek. And he's like, well, I don't like Star Trek, but I can make these other sci-fi movies. Can I make superhero movies? Can I make Suicide Squad? Can I make Guardians of the Galaxy? Or, just anything, The Fifth Element. There are so many rip-offs in this movie that it's just a soup of nothingness, and there's no plot. I don't know. I'm just jumping right into it. I don't know if that's what you wanted to do, but
oh, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, hailing frequencies are open, and on the channel joining me now is Scotty R37 for the first time. Welcome to Monday Night Mayhem, Scotty.
Well, thank you for having me to discuss my least favorite sequel to The Fast and the Furious.
Well, let's hope, unlike The Fast and the Furious, this doesn't become a thing, and then in 12 years' time, we're on Section 31, Episode 10 as another movie. God, can you imagine that?
I think that's too... Oh.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that this is... I'm hoping that this is one of the last Kurtzman treks, and we get no more after August, when they're supposed to not be able to make any more.
Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And in one of the Jeffries tubes, I believe, is the Section 31 help desk. Hello, sir.
Hello, it's me. Hello, Captain Help Desk here of Section 31. I am in a super secret organization that nobody knows about, which is why we have our own badges and our own uniform and nightclubs and hundreds of ships and people you've heard of. Set your phasers to fun.
Well, I'm sorry, but the phasers are all a bit dud, really, if you know what I mean.
Then so I bounce a graviton particle beam off the main deflect edition. See what happens.
Oh no, you're not giving it some techno babble, are you?
I love techno babble.
Oh well,
I do too. And if you listen to what they try to pass as technobabble in this TV show that turned into a movie, it's ridiculous. It's nothing that we've ever heard from Star Trek before. They just pick two random words and shove them together and hope that nobody's paying attention.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, just a few facts about the show. Like we said, it's Michelle Yeoh's own personal hedonistic project. The director was Alatunde Osunsanmi. Osunsanmi. That's it. There we go. That's a mouthful, isn't it? It was written by Craig Sweeney, Bo Yen Kim, and also Erica Lippolt. Those three between them, I don't think they could write a Christmas card, because they certainly didn't do a very good job of this. So let's just have a look at some slides. What did you think to the opening scene?
Alex Kurtzman enjoys eyeball porn.
Well, there were no eyeballs in that soup, I'm afraid.
It started really badly, let's be honest. And it didn't get much better.
Well, and I'm going to point out the things that I did like when I do like them. the young woman playing young Philippa Georgiou, I thought did a good job. So Miku Martineau, I thought did an okay job, especially if we're setting up Philippa Georgiou as being the most evil empress in the Terran Empire. It just doesn't make any sense that we're supposed to like her by the end.
I just feel bad that these actors had to have this job. Like, if the only positive thing you can say, or maybe a performance here and there, wasn't terrible, but this opening is still awful. You're opening up Star Trek, something with the Star Trek label, with child death. You know, there's a kid who dies. It's not just she doesn't just come to kill her whole family. A kid dies, and then
I just
and then
realized-
basically it's a rip-off of Hunger Games too, the setup.
Yeah, well, Franco Walker in the chat says, what the F is that? Well, it's basically a bit of a soup, and her dad and mum and all of her family basically have a good old glug of this soup. And like Jill was saying, that's one of the results. You know, her whole entire family are killed. But as a result, there we go. That's the actress you were talking about, Scotty.
Yes.
Yeah, as a result, this lady beams down with a whole horde of Terran officers, and she's crowned the Supreme Empress of the Terran Empire. And that whole scene I don't know, it just... hollow is the word.
I've just realized
I
forgot this scene actually existed. I jumped straight into the movie. I forgot this flashback was even in the beginning.
But also the pre-established history of how the hierarchy of the Terran Empire works, based on all of the things that we've seen, is its advancement through assassination. There is no way this contest would ever exist in the Terran Empire based on what we've seen. If you want to be the emperor, you have to kill the current emperor, which is exactly how Hoshi does it in Enterprise, and how the empire perpetuated itself in promotions on the ships. Like, this doesn't make sense that they would take a young person and make them the emperor.
That's essentially what they did. They did the Hunger Games. They randomly chose a bunch of children and made them kill each other, and whoever wins is the emperor, which makes absolutely no sense, especially looking at the history, as you said.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, she seems rather a bit young to become this empress of the Terran Empire. And it's like, you'd expect somebody like about Kirk's age in the original series, you know, that kind of thing. Somebody who was a bit more seasoned, somebody, you know, a bit more, how could I put it? Somebody who's got that experience of living that life, but in like a more military environment, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, more seasoned, and also just I'm sort of fascinated. It was an O. Henry when Hoshi got to be the empress, because it was like, oh, a woman can be the emperor. Okay, it's kind of, you know, it's an old trope, but it's like, my stars, you're a woman. I don't think that the Terran Empire would be a matriarchy.
Well, you never know.
It could be. I wouldn't say that it couldn't be, but this movie wants to have a theme. This movie wants to have some kind of meaning, because it starts with the quote, you know, an ancient Greek quote about fate and justice, and there's nothing that suggests either of those topics are covered anywhere in the film.
Just, I don't know. It's like they had an idea, or you've got a bunch of people who don't really know how Star Trek works. They've just basically just glossed over episodes, and they've like gone, yeah. They've treated it like a salad bar at Pizza Hut in the writer's room. Yeah, we'll have that element, and that element, and we'll just bang it all together, and you know, we'll chuck a load of shit at the wall, and wherever stakes that, we'll go with that. Because a lot of what was in this film wasn't working, and it wasn't, apart from seeing a Delta now and again, there really wasn't anything that screams Star Trek.
Well,
the
they
only
heard
thing-
that fans like friendship, and so they tried to do that, but they couldn't even pull that off.
It's about family.
It's
The
about
only
family.
thing that they really, I was the happiest I was throughout the entire 93 minutes is when I got to hear a Next Generation tricorder sound, and I was like, "Oh, that's neat." And that was it. That was the only thing that perked my ears up.
That was another one of the member berries for you see.
Yes.
And there were, I did notice, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, about some of the musical cues in Section 31. They were one-note derivatives of the Borg cue in First Contact. Anybody else notice that?
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to that again.
I noticed that, and then also I was getting very, very angry when it was the opening to Alexander Courage's original series fanfare, when it does the da-da, and I was like, you haven't earned this. You haven't earned this at all.
No.
It's funny you should say that, because when I heard that, and I thought, how dare you? How dare you? Because it's like, it's not even, it's like Timu Star Trek. You know, it's when you order Star Trek from Wish, this is what you get.
Yes. Well, and it's so...
I want to send it back.
I find it so misguided that it was... it's called Section 31, and they're jamming mirror universe stuff in my face as well. Like, if you're going to make a Section 31 movie, fine, run with it. But I don't want it to be sort of coupled with Terran Empire stuff as well. I think it overloads the entire story. There's too much lore being discussed. And even with the Section 31, it's just like, oh, we're a secret team. That's what Section 31 is? Like an off-the-books team?
You can't be a secret team when you're screaming to everybody, hey, we're Section 31. Do we get free drinks?
Yeah.
My goodness. It is the height of stupidity that these are operatives that should be taken seriously at all, because apparently Giorgio knows exactly who they are the second they step into the bar.
It's completely misguided. They don't know what Section 31 is. What Section 31 was supposed to be, if you actually watch it appearing in the original Deep Space Nine episodes, is the clandestine Black Ops side. You've got, Cardassians have the Obsidian Order, the Romulans have the Tal Shiar, which is these people go across, the borders of...
They're a necessary evil.
Exactly.
No matter whose side they're on. They're a necessary evil. Every side's got them. They don't like to admit to it.
Yeah.
But like I say, everybody does have one. Just a quick point here. Dan Kiefer says, hello, everyone. Don't know you. Just wanted to say, isn't it nice that Trek fans have finally have something they can all agree on? I even hate this thing, and I love Nemesis. Hey, it's funny that I like Nemesis too.
Well, I do now.
Oh, I know, right? Oh my god!
Yeah. This is in true Terran Empire fashion. This has assassinated the worst of Star Trek and just risen to the top. I still won't forgive Discovery, but this is definitely the best of the worst, or the worst. Of
the most important thing about Section 31 is that it's actually not at all sanctioned by Starfleet, despite their excuse being that it's in the Starfleet Charter. They just make that excuse, but they're not actually supported by Starfleet or the Federation. I know they do it in...
According to Star Trek lore, Section 31 existed before the Federation.
Yes, and that is thanks to Ira Stephen Bear. He's a great writer, but he shouldn't have backpedaled the lore like that. That was a major retcon. I don't approve.
But Section 31 was also in Enterprise.
Yeah, exactly.
That was part of the retcon. Yeah.
Eric Pierpoint. Eric Pierpoint played the person who what's his name? Malcolm Reed was interacting with, because that guy had got something on Malcolm Reed, if you remember. Just a quickie as well. Sword in the Storm. Star Trek forgot the rule. You never go full retard. Harsh. Is that harsh but fair, do you think?
Yeah.
Well, in the truest sense of the definition, it does slow down and impede the thing. So it did retard Star Trek.
Yeah, just a bit. I just thought we'd have a quick... And we'll have a
Definitely.
quick browse of the characters. So you've got Michelle Yeoh, obviously Philippa Georgiou from the Mirror universe. Why she got a Greek name? She sounds
Because
Greek.
because of the quote that they said at the beginning about fate or justice or something. It was an ancient Greek quote, probably. That's my only guess.
Did you notice her eyes were really weird?
Yes.
I mean, whether that's a thing with people from the Mirror universe having an aversion to light and she's wearing some kind of contacts, but I thought that was really off-putting, and I don't know what it is about her face this time. It seems weird looking at it. It's like, something's not quite right there. So what did we think to Philippa Georgiou in this abomination of Star Trek? Scotty?
Having watched not much of Discovery, but I did see the premiere, and I've seen a couple of episodes here and there, probably a bunch of the first season, and then I just bailed. But I really liked Prime Philippa Georgiou. I thought she was good, and when she died, and then they brought in evil Philippa Georgiou, I was like, you are insufferable, and I hate you. Now, I'm not a huge Michelle Yeoh fan in the first place, but I just don't understand why they keep bringing her back and why they expect people to like her. I'm not against Michelle Yeoh. She's just never done it for me. So with this, I was kind of watching it, and I was already aware of the Kurtzman fact, and I was already aware of the fact that I was going to have to sit through an hour and a half of Michelle Yeoh. So I'm not a fan.
Yeah, me neither. Jill, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also not a fan of her, and Scotty set up the past pretty well in that regard. Is, why are we going to side with the character who's done all of this, all of these atrocities, war crimes? At least this movie addresses those things, but the problem is, you start the movie by having her get, like, they give her some kind of romance, or like the competitor, there's this sand person, and he's just basically there to be her bitch. So
Yeah,
and there's a lot of that.
He lost out to her in the beginning, and like you say, he became her bitch until he kind of broke free.
There's a lot of that theme all throughout the film. Is if there's a male character, they have to be denigrated in some way.
Can we stop referring to it as a film, please? Because I think it's straight to DVD.
Yeah.
You're right. It's set up like 3 TV episodes. It's a show.
Yeah, that are really edited together badly. Another character that I like to look at is Cannon Fodder, a.k.a. that little Delton at the beginning, who's, if you didn't know her name, it's Mel. She's played by Humberly Gonzalez. And I just thought she was just a deadweight character, and she proved to be deadweight in a really drawn-out and gruesome phaser scene, which I thought was a bit unnecessary. What happened to the phasers of the original series and the movies where, one shot, that's it, buff, you're gone, you're incinerated. But Kurtzman and his ilk had to drag that death scene out just that extra bit. Like, we haven't got a deal in this film, so we've got to make this look as gruesome as possible.
And not only that, but it was treated like we were supposed to care about her because she was in like 4 minutes of screen time and mildly bickered with the rest of the crew that we don't know. It reminds me of when they offed Tandy Newton in Solo: A Star Wars Story, and everyone was like, "No!" And it's like, why? Why is the audience upset at all?
Solo still lost money, by the way.
That's fine. That's cool. I don't care.
Graham, what do you think, matey?
Yeah, she was. I hate to say the word useless, but I think the problem was every single character was just cookie cutter. This is your personality, therefore this is your character. All of them just had one single character trait that they stuck to. I don't care about any of them. That's my problem. Whilst watching Section 31, I had to continually pause it, get up, walk around, and get a drink because it made me so angry.
Yeah, all the characters had just didn't give a shit about them
Yeah.
in any shape, way, or form. Even Georgiou, I just like, so what?
Michelle
What?
Yeoh's certainly a good actress. You know, she's got awards and she's been in better
No,
stuff.
she wasn't in this.
In this, she's just
She was fucking cheese. She was the cheesiest cheese going.
Yeah.
It was just almost like she's just having fun with this. Oh, I'm having fun. I'm a diva. Oh, look at me. And I didn't think it worked for her. I thought she was totally shite.
Yeah,
She
you know,
underacted.
the reason
She
for that.
overperformed. She was hammy. She was cheesy. She was just flat out shit.
But the reason for that is incredibly simple. She got paid $12 million to star in this.
No way.
Yeah, it's I saw it. I think it's Deadline did reported on it, but she got paid $12 million. The total cost of this
12 million?
20 million for the total thing, and she got paid
Jesus.
12 million.
I want to give
That's
her
where all the
$12.
money went.
She's laughing all the way to the bank. She doesn't care whether her acting's any good or not.
Did you have any feelings towards Mel, Jill?
Well, she was diminished. It was a lot like what the Section 31 help desk already said in terms of just distilling her down to just being a sex pot instead of actually maybe watching the motion picture and understanding what a Delton really is, and kind of how that the Deltons evolved into Deanna Troi, the Betazoids. Being empathetic and all of these things, and it's not just I'm here to sex you up. It's just, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about it.
It makes me wonder with those Deltons if the collars and cuffs match. But the oldest gamer says he is correct. Yeoh was paid $12 million. That is a fucking insult. It's an absolute insult.
Well, but I guess they had to up the ante, because we've discussed it before, but the only reason that this exists and why it's a movie instead of an ongoing series is because Michelle Yeoh obviously won the Oscar and she was contractually obligated to be a part of this, and so they probably had to say, all right, we'll give you more money.
You've got to thank COVID in a way, because they were going to start making this as a series in 2019, but it obviously got shelved. Not Brian says that's 11 million pot noodles. Help desk. Would you spend that money on pot noodles, sir?
12 million. God, that's a lot of crunchy bars.
How many bottles of baby oil is it? My question in regards to Mel, and as it's been very well mentioned in terms of Mel being a sex pot, and that's her superpower. She's sexy. That's it. Isn't that objectification of women? And this is obviously New Trek, which is very interested in progressive values. And she essentially gets fridged within the first act, which is kind of counter to what they do in terms of their messaging of strong female characters. Why was Mel the one who gets thrown under the bus for a bunch of people who are so virtuous and golden when they can only objectify a chick to have her killed when she's no longer relevant to the plot?
Well, it's funny that you should say that, because I think she was there to try and make the audience feel some sort of sympathy for the ragtag crew who were trying to get on to Georgiou. But I don't think, like I say, these characters, that they're almost like bubblegum, no pun intended, because she's got some in her mouth. But they were just like cheap characters. There were no substance to them. There was no character development at all from the get-go. There was absolutely nothing there, which brings me on to Quasi, which I
do like Sam Richardson. I do like Sam Richardson.
I don't think I've ever actually seen him in anything before, but he plays Quasi, a Carmeloid, like Martia from Star Trek VI. To say there were mythical creatures, there's one there. But at first, I had to pause this. I thought, Kevin Hart's fucking hard up. And then I realised it wasn't Kevin Hart. He's like an amalgamation, isn't he, of Kevin Hart and LeVar Burton. Whether it's those eyes, I don't know. But
well, that's the thing. They tried to make Quasi a nerdy character, but nobody in the writing staff knows what a nerd is, so it did not play.
Yeah, it was kind of fun, but trying too hard, and people, I don't know, people like that.
And he's probably the best.
Yeah,
character.
yeah. I don't think you're wrong there, Jill. But yeah, they're all just like they're like bubblegum. They're just so you'd forget about them. Now, this character Zeph, I nicknamed him Robocock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically, he was just a Borg. He wanted to be a Borg, but he's played by Robert Kaczynski, an actual British actor in this production. But I thought this guy, he couldn't act to save his life. And I don't know, he just felt like a plot device for later use. That's all he was there for.
What
Yes.
peed me off? This is the start of what started to pee me off. This is set after original Trek, after TOS, but before the movies, basically. So TOS was, well, you know what TOS was. It's blatantly obvious. Then suddenly, in this little gap, everyone had augmentations and, you know, cyborg attachments and stuff, which then all disappear for the movies. It's all like just a really short fucking... Oh, it's just so aggravating because the Borg haven't been found at this point. There's a whole thing, you know, obviously Enterprise...
Well, I'm going to say Enterprise.
In the
You've got that
timeline,
episode.
yes, there is Enterprise, but that was all supposed to be kept under wraps, which is why they didn't know about it in TNG. So, are there any civilizations in between TOS and TNG that actually do cyborg implants that we know about?
There are the Binars, I suppose, at a push.
It's shit, basically.
It is shit.
It's
You're right.
shit.
It
Sorry.
is. It's utter shit.
And he's an allegory for something. That's what they've said, because it's sort of like he has body dysmorphia. And so therefore it's a condition that people can relate to or some bollocks.
And they tried to make out there was some purpose for him being in that suit. And when people said, well, what's the purpose? He got all touchy about it. And, oh, no. Oh,
Yeah.
and, well, he's got a condition. Yeah, he's a shit actor. There's his condition, mate.
When I was watching it, I found him to be the perfect allegory for Rod Roddenberry, just a meathead who was wandering through with no idea as to what was going on, but he'll collect the checks.
Yeah,
his name's in the executive producer bit anyway. So this character Fuzz, and this is a rip-off of Men in Black. As soon as I heard the crack with this guy, I thought, yeah, they're ripping off Men in Black. Basically, Fuzz is a microorganism inside a robot, and he's got the worst Irish accent that I've ever heard. And he says, I'm inside a feckin' Valcan. What is a Valcan? He's played by South African actor, and this is a really good name for a South African actor, Sven Rijgroch. There we go. What
sounds
did you...
Klingon.
Yeah.
Sven
So,
Rijgroch.
Scotty, what did you think to Fuzz?
I really tried to avoid thinking about him. I knew what his deal was, and I agree with you in terms of being a Men in Black ripoff. I thought that also because when watching this, I wanted to watch The Adventures of Pluto Nash instead, and then I couldn't believe that this, like, Pluto Nash is a better Star Trek movie than this, and then they ripped off Meet Dave as well, with someone controlling another person's body. And also, I don't understand why people will see someone who could be a Romulan and is laughing, which would be all of the earmarks of, no pun intended, of being a Romulan. And it's like, what's with the laughing Vulcan? And it's like, it's Romulan. Why wouldn't you assume that it's a Romulan? I don't understand why everyone says that, because we've seen Romulans without the ridges.
It would have worked better as a Romulan character, I think. Now you mentioned
that's where I went first, Scotty. Is that I thought, oh well, he's just a Romulan, but then they started making jokes that he got crazy during Bonfire, and this is before they reveal it's a robot with a tiny alien inside. And who wouldn't think every single person knows it's from Men in Black?
No, you go.
Oh, you're right.
He's so neurotic. And what is it with New Trek having to make sure that everybody has some kind of mental disturbance or some kind of disease of the mind?
I think that is a reflection of their target audience, because a lot of that age group seem to have some kind of mental issue. And there we go. There's the little tiny spaceship or whatever it is inside that fucking Vulcan. I'm inside the fucking Vulcan, so I am. So there I am. I'm floating around inside this space. Look, I'm here. But it looks like this. What the fuck is that? It looks like some kind of crustacean, something, I don't know, something at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant that you wouldn't eat.
Right.
To be fair, they do define him as a parasite. So he's something you actually want to call your local pest control to get rid of.
Yeah.
If he's trying to hide as a Vulcan.
Vulcan,
sorry.
No, Vulcan.
Sorry.
Fucking Vulcan.
If he's trying to hide as another species, the one thing you want to do is try and disguise yourself as that species, which
True.
means
You figure if you're part of a super secret organization, you would want to blend in.
you'd want to blend in and hide. So if he's trying to be a Vulcan, he should know he's not supposed to laugh or smile or show emotion.
Oh, so you think it would be better if they would have made him a Ferengi?
It might actually have been. He might have actually passed as a Ferengi, and then you could have hidden the whole robot bit.
I don't know. He's about as charming as a facehugger, to be fair. Moving swiftly on, here's the love interest for Georgiou. This is Amari Hardwick, who plays Alok Sahar, a byproduct of I'll do it in the incorrect voice. A byproduct of late 20th century genetic engineering. He was basically taken by an augment and genetically re-engineered. But he's been frozen in cryo and then obviously thawed out by Section 31. But he's, I don't know, it's almost like he's the DEI opposite of Georgiou for all intents and purposes.
So is he one of Khan's men then?
No.
That's exactly what happened to them, wasn't it?
Well, sort of, but there were more than just one of these guys during the eugenics wars. So basically, he was a survivor of the nuclear wars, right? The eugenics wars and whatnot, and all the aftermath. But he was basically taken prisoner by one of these augment supermen, and he was taken over, and they performed genetic engineering on him and made him a modified human.
Yes, he is the resident rocket raccoon of the group.
Yeah.
And he doesn't use, all of these characters have some kind of power and they hardly ever use them. He uses them one time.
Well, and that, man, that pissed me off so much is because what's his name? Zeph, the robo cop. And he's like, okay, and my job is to punch people. And so when we finally get to Dad No, and we'll talk about how ridiculous that name is, who punches Dad No except it is Sahar. And it's like, so what is Robocock doing here?
Yeah, Robocock. Yeah. I think that name definitely is well deserved. And to round
the dialogue though makes it seem like we're supposed to think that Alok punched him. So I guess maybe I missed the actual action didn't match up with the dialogue. That's funny.
And finally, in our ensemble cast is Casey Roll. As a token member berry, Rachel Garrett, future captain of the Enterprise C. And I thought this character was so unnecessary. It was just unnecessary to everything, to the plot, to the whole thing, basically. She did not need to be there. She could have been an other character. Scotty, what do you think?
I was trying so hard to like Rachel Garrett. I don't know anything about the actress. I am a fan of hot chicks. And I was just like, do something. Anything that makes you either, indicate that you're going to be Rachel Garrett that I know from yesterday's Enterprise, or do something that is almost like you're second in command of this ragtag group of weirdos. And she did nothing. She was a cheerleader. She is literally left behind for one of the action sequences. And it doesn't come back that she rescues anybody or anything. It's just like, you're not necessary to this scene. We'll see you later. I wanted so much to like her. As I was saying before, like, I like Agnes Jurati from Picard. Whenever I encounter a cute girl, I'm like, hey, maybe you'll do something cool. And no, Rachel Garrett did nothing cool. In fact, there are some inexplicable things that she does. And I'm like, how did you do that? There's no explanation.
She has got something in common with Alison Pill. She's Canadian too.
That might be it. Maybe she does remind me of Mia Kirshner, who played Amanda from Discovery, plays Spock's mom.
Maybe you've got an underlying fetish for Canadian girls, eh?
Well, thank heavens I live in the right part of the world.
Canadian girls, eh? Jill, what do you think to Rachel Garrett in this diabolical, awful film? Oh, it's not even a film, direct to DVD.
Besides being an insult to one of my favorite Star Trek Next Generation episodes, my goodness, this is if anybody decides to go against their better judgment and actually watch this thing, listen to all the dialogue that surrounds her is all about insulting her and bashing her because she's from Starfleet. And they introduce her as a woman with a stick up her ass, but she doesn't actually behave as a Starfleet officer. She acts more like a teenager who's just sick of everybody's bullshit. She's like, well, why didn't you do it this way or whatever? And she has this kind of adolescent attitude that isn't actually something to enjoy. No, none of these characters are actually very likable. Like,
true.
You think you make a movie, even if they're bad characters.
They're not relatable. They're not likable. Their dialogue is absolutely atrocious. And did anybody else notice during that opening and bar scene that with the music and the way everybody was introed, it was a rip-off of Ocean's 11?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
All that kept going through my head was, Rick Sanchez, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah.
It was another example of another piece of plagiarism.
Well, and Jill,
And of
what
course,
you said
yes.
in terms of the mockery of Rachel Garrett having a stick up her ass. Now, it's funny because we start off when we do our first introductions, because we do introductions twice in this movie, but they go around and Georgiou says, let's cut the shit. And then she refers to Garrett and says, and she's obviously Starfleet because she has a stick so far up her bum that it might as well be coming out of her mouth. And I was like, you already said shit. Why can't you say ass? Why can't you say ass? It didn't.
One time where she said backside, she does mixed up.
It's so
the
writing style is so inconsistent. It's like they got 3 or 4 different writers at different times, and none of them talk to each other. And they just kept writing lines and going, "Oh, this will sound good."
Yeah,
all of them are 12 years old too.
Yeah.
It's all almost like I said before. It's like in the writer's room. Everybody had a go at throwing shit at a whiteboard. Whatever stuck, they sort of went with it. And it just felt so Legoized, if you know what I mean. Oh, we'll stick a bit there, we'll stick a bit there, and we'll stick a bit there. So anyway, here we go. On the table, in the bar, they're presented with a little box with obviously the Starfleet Delta in it. And then, we go through the standard fare. Oh, look, it's Philippa Georgiou, Emperor of the Terran Empire. She's from a parallel universe, blah, blah, blah. And there she is, and she's looking ultra freaky. Yet again, those eyes, there's just something about her eyes and her face. She just looks wholly unnatural. Have you noticed in Hollywood at the moment, you've got people like Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, and they all look weirdly emaciated. It's almost like Michelle Yeoh's heading that way. She's like, I don't know, whatever they're injecting people in Hollywood with, they need to give it a rest because it's not working. She just looks damn right freaky.
They're vegans.
That would explain it. And I must apologize to everybody in the chat. I am trying to cherry pick really good comments in there, and I'll sort of bring you in as and when we fit you in. Jill, you're a little bit quiet on this one. Any opinion here?
On her appearance, it is something that does permeate Hollywood, that they do inject themselves with, I don't know what procedures she's had, or if she's, like you're saying, taking those diet injections as well. And there are a multitude of things that Hollywood does to make sure that they don't look human anymore. Some of them, not everybody. Some people in Hollywood allow themselves to age, and we see we see them and they still look human, but others
Hooded
don't choose that route.
Hooded man, too soon on that comment. Too soon, my friend. Yeah, she's definitely freaky there. There was just something not quite right about that look. And then we go to Mr. No.
Dr. No to you.
Yeah. Who it turns out is from the mirror universe as well. He's obviously some kind of courier, and he's got a shiny box, unlike Michelle Yeoh.
But Mel has a shiny box if the curtains match it comes.
Like there's no hiding anymore. We would literally have a mystery box.
Yes, it's a box, a mystery box. It's bigger than a bread box. So Michelle Yeoh chucks a little device onto said box. And then she's got one on her belt, and she becomes out of phase. So obviously Mr. No drops it. And this is quite an interesting storyline, because what happens next is just comical. You get this guy who looks like some kind of S&M freak. He phases through the wall. He's out of phase too. And then we have almost like a Matrix. And I'm thinking, Matrix Reloaded, in the S&M club. It goes a bit like that. Did you notice that, Jill?
I found that
hold on, Scotty. Jill's up first. Jill, what did you think?
Oh, I didn't know what this was, honestly. I think your explanation is best. I have no care what this is, because I don't know who's inside of it. Is it San? I still don't know who's in there.
It was San, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it was.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that because that is the most logical explanation as to who it is.
Care. They don't care to explain anything to make us care about anything. And this box, I didn't care much about the sequence because I didn't know what it was, the weapon. And guess what? Even when we find out what it can do, we really still don't know why or how.
Scotty, what's your opinion?
Well, it's Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think it was San. I guess it must have been, but also the flourishes that they give in the fight scene are stupid, for lack of a better term, because Georgiou's using her scarf to like whip and pull and do a bunch of things. But there is a horrible trend in modern directors when they attempt to do action, and I've seen it in Cowboy Bebop, I've seen it in Madam Web. And it is, for some reason, they want to show people flipping, but keep the camera on them as they're flipping so that they will be center of frame and the camera goes with them. And none of them, they all think that this is their Kubrick moment in an action scene. And it doesn't work, ever. I have never seen it work where you keep the person who is doing the flip in frame and upright, or however you want to do it. It never works. And this is another one that is guilty of it. The gentleman who directed this, if I can call him a gentleman, or the director of photography, you failed. I'm sorry. Give us back. Your parking will not be validated.
There's been some fantastic comments. I don't know if you've seen them on screen, but it's an absolute goal. This is the show, or no, this is the straight to DVD production that keeps on giving. So yeah, there's a bit of a fight. It goes here, there, and everywhere through the bar, and yeah, they're all out of phase. Her face actually looks better when she's out of phase. Oh, and then we find out what's in the box. Does anybody know what it is before I tell you?
World-ending,
super duper doomsday machine.
Well, you're kind of right, but I will tell you what it is. It's the Continuum Transfunctioner, a very mysterious and powerful device. It's the Continuum Transfunctioner. Look at it. Dude, Where's My Car? Another film that's ripped off. Let's pinch an idea from another IP. Oh, it just keeps getting better and better. How are they getting away with all this? Because, then we have a flashback. She sees that box, and then she's back in the mirror universe, where her eyes look quite normal. And there we see our MacGuffin, a.k.a. the Continuum Transfunctioner. And there's that guy, that San, is it? I can't remember now. Where's my notes gone? Yeah.
Yes, and
James,
remember he's in the 24th century, so he could get that face fixed. He just likes being this way.
Yeah. So he's played by James Hiroki Liao San. He's the bad guy who looks about as threatening as whipped cream, I thought. Would you be scared of him, Scotty?
Well, not in this. No. I found him completely unengaging as a villain, simply because what he was driven by the power of love or the power of unrequited, and he was basically, limp lettuce throughout until he got really mad, and then he would have a fit. Like, no, this guy sucks.
He was PETA to Georgiou's Katniss Everdeen.
Exactly.
But thrown away.
I wish I had been watching Twilight.
Help desk, what did you think to San? I mean, the name itself is about as scary as a gas bill.
Well, San, Latin translation is without. So he is San's threat, I suppose.
I thought cat San as in cat litter. And it certainly rhymed with cat.
Your joke was better than mine.
Sorry, I do apologise.
He's about as threatening as Channel 4. There is nothing about him.
Yeah, and Channel 5.
Yeah. Dear God, the characters are just so bad. And that MacGuffin is just, right. Why is the MacGuffin in our universe?
Well, because of Dada.
It's a plot device.
Completely unexplained anomaly.
The reason why it's in our universe changes through the course of the movie.
It does. There's 3 different reasons all the way through.
And again, it's down to people writing a script, not referencing other people who've written earlier bits of the script. They just don't give a shit.
Because we discover through Mr. No that there's a diverging ion storm in our universe and in the mirror universe that's created a pocket of space where they can go between realms, which is unfortunate for us. So anyway, after the bar bollocks and fight and whatnot, we suddenly find ourselves on this planet, a nice little glory shot of that spaceship, and it looks total shit.
They love that design.
So we're stuck here for the rest of the movie.
Pretty much.
Well, no, this is the fetch quest. This is the fetch quest act of the film. But they love that. That ship looks like of the same class, or at least the same shipyard as La Sirena from Picard. It's what is with your fascination with that ugly brick?
It's all the ships in this are all the same. Like say, the sand ship at the end, I thought that looks like a remodel. Like they've taken the CGI model, the La Sirena, and just jiggled it about a little bit, and they've got an instant spaceship. And you rightly say, Scotty, it's like it's like when you order, the Enterprise from Wish, and you get that.
Yeah,
that's exactly what this is. Help desk, what did you think?
I was just going to say that ship. It's the reason it looks like that is because it's 25% different to an actual Star Trek ship.
About that.
They don't have to pay any royalties to use the look of the Enterprise.
But there's 75% less plot and decent characters.
Well, and this is something that I was sort of paying attention to, because I don't think we saw the alien from Chiron in the bar at the beginning, who is half black, half white. In the original, and so they bring that back up as one of the member berries. But the thing is, and you know what? I don't really care. I'm sure that there are other Chironese who exist in the galaxy who got off of Chiron and they didn't want to have their little race war. But the thing is that his hair was also half black, half white. And I was like, that's not what they look like.
No.
And it's because my mind was like, holy moly, that is 25% different. His hair.
Jill, what did you think?
But if there were other of his people still roaming about the galaxy, why did they make such a big deal of saying they're all dead, everyone's annihilated, everyone's
on the planet
dead? But they didn't say just on the planet though.
It was,
but sure, maybe there are others flying around. Fine,
yeah, but the whole point of that episode.
One at a time, guys, please.
Sorry. Go on, Jill, you finish.
Yeah, what are you saying, Jill?
I'm just saying you would have to have at least 200 of both sexes flying around the quadrant.
Wasn't what in
Neurons
the
are
original
counts.
series? Wasn't one of those guys the Riddler from Batman?
Frank
Oh yeah,
Gorshin.
Frank Gorshin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was.
But the whole idea was it was an allegory in the original series for the extremes of racism. You have two peoples who are very similar but see themselves as being completely different, and so one with black on left side of the face compared to black on right side of the face, and they just fought each other for these differences to the point it killed every single one of them. And the episode of TOS goes around following the last two in existence because they're all dead, because all they do is fight, even if they can't remember what they're fighting for.
That's what I believe that episode was trying to say, and that is the intention of the writing. And this
none of them
subverts that.
should be alive by this point. Even if they did get off the planet and go off in different directions, the chances are that they would have died by this point. The entire culture would have been lost.
According to form, this is set before the original series.
No, this has to be after.
No, actually, this is very soon before the next generation. It's the 24th century.
Of
course.
TOS.
But like now of course. But now you've said that does contradict the original series.
It does.
So another nice mistake. And another totally useless character is this Mr. No. He just, there was no place for him. And the only decent scene with him in was when they tried to get information out of him, and we ended up with this. What a way, pick as a winner.
Yeah. And again, the interrogation and the fight that the interrogation and torture that goes on here, if you really, really want to express how badass Philippa is, and she says, "Do you know how I got like the brigadier general to give me his secrets?" Don't whisper it. You tell us. We've already learned that you have like performed multiple genocides. And you're just going to be like, "I was so bad. You know how bad I was? I did
so bad. You can't. No, the audience is too
bad
weak
writing. They have
I just ate an eyeball, but I can't tell you.
Yeah. Have you noticed what's wrong with that picture? He hasn't actually got his finger up his nose. He's like bent his knuckle round, but you can actually see it. The camera angle is so bloody pathetic and amateurish. They've not even got the end of his finger out of the shot, so it's not very convincing.
But isn't this a moment where you introduce like a Cardassian or a Ferengi or anybody a Bolian? Like I kept wanting him to be a Bolian because I don't know who the hell you are. I don't have any idea. If this had been a Pac-Led, I would have been happy. Oh, and Gavin Blackburn in the chat says, "Booger."
It's the wrong franchise. We're not doing Revenge of the Nerds, but nice try.
Or WKRP.
Man, this is...
So anyway, we get to this point where the spaceship that's just hovering above, waiting for everybody, becomes subject to some sabotage. And even the visuals weren't impressive. It's like they over-egged everything. They tried too hard, and it came out looking as though it did try too hard, and it kind of took away from how good it could have been. What do you think, Help Desk?
I mean, impressive explosion. So I think a lot of money must have been spent on special effects, but
in that universe,
it was used wrong.
In that universe, every spaceship seems to have like a vent in the floor that spews great amounts of flames right at precisely cued moments. It's like, that's needless. It's like a cheap special effect. It's going back to films like This Island Earth, where you've got to have some hyperbolous effect to exaggerate what's going off in the scene because there's no real plot.
It's missing the classic Star Trek trope. When you have an explosion, rocks need to fly around. Everything that explodes throws rocks everywhere. It's
and
Star
the explosion
Trek.
happens so close to these people. They should be dead.
Vaporized.
Yeah.
You've seen people standing by consoles. Console explodes. They're taken to sick bay because they've got massive burns and head injuries from flying rocks.
And as
Well,
we've seen,
media hashtag.
as we've seen in other shows in the franchise, when one of those panels go, because there's an EPS conduit behind everyone,
Oh yeah.
when they go, you're dead.
Yes, exactly.
But
Not
you,
in this
you
show,
see,
though.
Help
Yeah,
desk, you
like Scotty's
seem to
cornet.
be under the impression that there are crews on this ship, except for the people that we see on screen. That is something that I thought was really, really interesting, is that all it takes on Sam's ship, we only need Fuzz and Sam. We don't see anybody else on that ship. And when it comes to any other ship that we see, it is only the characters who are in the opening credits.
True. Just moving swiftly on, because I want to speed through these as quick as we can.
Hells yes.
After that explosion, we get to a point where they're basically on this like tower thing, a communications tower, where stuff has strategically been stripped to stop them communicating with anybody. And then all of a sudden, Robocock, he disappears. They follow a trail of fluid. I'm not saying what kind of fluid it is. It could be some kind of man wax or something. Who gives a fuck, really? Let's face it. And they find him dead, right? And then it's like, you killed him, you killed him, you killed him, you killed him. And it's all, it's farcical. The writing, it's like my 15-year-old daughter could have written a better script than the three people who were responsible for it.
And the movie is so dark when
Stop
Jar
saying
Jar holds up
movie!
her hair. Okay, so the show
Straight
is
to
so
DVD.
dark that the only way we know it's a hair is because JoJo says it's one.
Well, yeah.
That when Rachel gets,
but then again, it's all a lot of bullshit
she gets
manipulation.
framed. Yeah, no, it's just trying to drag out the time. There's a whole lot of stuff happening, and yet nothing is happening at all.
Eminem says panto. Yes, it's very much a panto. And Night Hooded Man, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll be back next week. But yeah, just far too dragged out. So anyway, in the grand scheme of things, Men in Black ripoff, old Fuzz, he's left his body, and he's left his body on remote. Yeah, so he was controlling Robocock. And then we get to this almighty.
Yeah. Oh, wait. We can't go to this tunnel scene until we say that there was another. What was?
All right, then. Let me go back.
Didn't Zeph kill himself?
No.
Because of
he kind of did, but
with stabbing his eye, right? So there's more of that eye obsession.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I see what you mean there. But yeah, Zeph was killed by proxy, by himself.
Yes.
Through Fuzz, who'd taken control of his body. Because so he can get in the tightest of places, it doesn't matter where. But this reminded me of another film. Does anybody else have an inkling of what this entire scene felt like?
On top of the train in Mission Impossible.
Do you know what I thought? What came to mind? Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the tunnel chase scene.
Yeah. Why are they not falling off?
You guys were much more generous, because I was like, oh, so this is a rehash of Star Trek Into Darkness, where we have a transport to nowhere, where we have a fist fight with just blurry backgrounds. The most uninspiring. There was a moment in the middle of this chase, and I was like, well, I know none of the good guys are going to die.
Yeah.
Right. Watch this chase. When it closes in on them, their hair is not even moving. They haven't even put a fan in front of them to make it look like they're actually moving through a tunnel. It's just, oh, God, it's aggravating.
I didn't even notice when Zeph died. Like when Zeph was dispatched off of this, I was just like, oh, I guess he's not here anymore. I don't care.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. It just, you could see the guy fucking blinking. If he was dead, whether he's on remote control by Fuzz or not, he wouldn't be blinking and laughing and smiling. His body might be moving, but the flesh part, that's gone. It's toast.
When I think of a show where people are terrible to each other and they're also terrible people, but it's a good show, I think of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's because there's good humor and good dialogue. This has neither in that, and because they're terrible people who are terrible to each other, and it's not funny. You don't care when anybody dies.
Ooh, Gavin, good call.
Yeah, Gavin Blackburn says Droid Factory from Star Wars 2. Yes,
Yeah.
I thought that a little bit, but the way it played out, it was more like the scenes from Indiana Jones, albeit in a different location. Flav says, like a cutscene from every adventure game ever. Yes, true. And Ashen Prism says, would fit in with Uncharted. I reckon that's a good assessment. So anyway, everybody gets left behind, so to speak. And Fuzz has a bit of a fight with Georgiou, who manages to jump from one place to another, gets chucked off, but she's obviously that good. You know, she uses her female powers to get back on through the other side. And then there's a bit of a fight scene. Fuzz gets a little bit screwed up. I don't really want to talk about this particular scene too much because I'm thinking of time. But he basically says, yeah, you got me. Hook, line, and sinker. I've pulled a fast one on you. Oh, look, I've got you all falling out. And then...
potatoes.
Yeah, and then he's beamed aboard Sans ship. And then there we go. We've got the continuum transfunctioner.
Yes.
And the plan is he's going to use it to sort of screw up our universe so his universe can come into our universe. And this ion storm thingy, convergence, is going to happen in 1 hour, X amount of minutes. And I just thought that was, you know, to say it was the end of Act 2, it was just rushed and it was like, right, there's the premise. Here we go. Did anybody else
We haven't
get
even
that?
said, that they're ready. This thing went through so many rewrites when it was going to be a TV show, and then when several rewrites, and then more when it became a TV movie, which is essentially, as you're saying, don't call it a movie, call it you know,
Straight
the
to
failed
DVD.
TV show, the failed TV show that it is.
Yeah, it is just, I don't know.
And one of the things we haven't mentioned yet, something New Trek loves to do, is, you know, you can't just have a weapon that's going to destroy the planet or the solar system. It's got to destroy the whole universe, and in this case, the whole quadrant, which is essentially
Because it's the continuum transfunctioner. I'm going to keep doing that. That it is just, I don't know, the device that you're looking at there. It's a very mysterious and powerful device.
Right. If I remember rightly, the whole idea about it is a bomb. Once it is armed, it cannot be turned off. It was originally made by the Emperor of the Mirror Universe, because if they were ever going to be killed, they would activate it, because nobody wants to rule over ruins.
Yeah, basically.
And now it's brought into our universe, and it's going to be used because they've run out of resources in their universe, so they can come over to ours and
rape, pillage, and plunder, basically.
Exactly, but they will have destroyed the universe, so there will be nothing over here for them to take.
Yeah. Exactly. They don't even say exactly what this destroys. Does it just destroy organic life? Does it destroy all of the planets? What's going? If it does destroy the planets, then what's the point of being here? They don't explain that.
It's a dollar store weapon of mass destruction.
But it's also a cut rate version of the burn from whichever season of Discovery that was.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, that was shite too. So anyway, in the meantime, they managed to find some old junky garbage scowl, which is a common word in New Trek, garbage scowl, and they get it working. And they're going to use it to catch up with, I mean, it's a garbage scowl. It doesn't have warp capability, but it manages to catch up with a warp-capable ship. So,
quick question.
Go on.
So, in a world where you can vaporize matter into molecules, why are you hauling garbage?
Because it's another plot device to make up for the
There we go.
Okay,
just wanted to check. Thank you, sir.
It shouldn't be hauling garbage. It should be hauled away as garbage.
Yeah, they should have taken this away, and Kurtzman and everybody else involved. So Georgiou and Alok decide to beam aboard Sans ship, and usual fare. Theirs is MacGuffin, the continuum transfunctioner, and you know all these fight scenes break out, and I felt really embarrassed for Michelle Yeoh, because you've got how old is she? She's got to be 60 odd now.
Yes.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And she's flailing about. Fair enough, she was good at martial arts at one point or another, but it was almost like you're just watching a granny have a Karen moment, and she's tripping out, and she's trying her best to kick ass, and she's beating some guy up randomly, and it just seemed really badly choreographed.
Yes, that's it.
She's 62.
I have the believability that I believe that she actually could be good at this with the right direction, with the right choreography, which she had neither here.
No, it was short on a lot of things. Help desk, what you were saying?
No, I was just saying Michelle Yeoh's 62 at this point. So the fact she's doing any sort of martial arts is, to be commended, but it was slow and it was paced and
it was painful. It was like watching Steven Seagal take a shit.
Oh no.
I've spent a lot of time recently watching Steven Seagal movies.
I thought you were going to say you spent a lot of time watching Steven Seagal take a shit. Scotty,
he has an OnlyFans.
That was the food poisoning.
Oh God, Scotty, what do you think about these fight scenes?
Well, my problem is that when Sahar gets stabbed, it doesn't phase him really. He responds as if he's been stabbed and then continues on for another 10 minutes fighting like he's Muhammad Ali. And then, but also I was disappointed that I don't know how literally the last act of this movie is just a fist fight between 4 people and then 2 other people who don't know how to fly a ship attempting to fly a ship. This was the point where I was like, this is all we're doing for the last 20 minutes of this is we're just going to fight and pretend that we don't know how to press buttons. Okay. That's it. This is the laziest, and I am a fan of lazy science fiction. Sometimes flashing lights is all I need, but this was you can't even claim Star Trek on this. This is just nothing because I know who's going to win. There's no question.
This was so
what are
lazy.
We doing? We're drawing this out.
This was so lazy. It was horizontal. So anyway, during the fight scenes,
makes the comatose look active.
Yeah, definitely. You've got Fuzz fighting Sahar, and he comes out with this, you humans, you're a fucking shite. I'm off. So he's put himself on remote control, hence why his eye sort of lights up. And there he goes, off on his merry way in his little spunkmobile. It looks like a sperm, doesn't it? If you look at it. So
without the tail.
Yeah, well, I think that was at the back. So he escapes in his little shuttle pod thingy. And then while all that's kicking off, there's more fighting, there's more of this. And we get to a point where on the garbage scow, Rachel Garrett finds this toy. And it's made by a dodgy company. That wouldn't have been good if it had come out with made by Quark and Co. or something on this doll. But this line of toys are the most dangerous toys in the galaxy, and they're banned in the Federation. So she sets it up as a bomb. It gets dumped out this garbage scow. And then Fuzz, he gets stabbed right in the middle of the forehead by Sahar. Which I thought was really stupid. And
dangerous
there he is.
Toys, that's more child abuse.
Yeah. And then you've got old what would you say he looks like? He looks a cross between a koala and a sperm.
He does look like a cross between a koala and a prawn.
A deformed kind of water bear.
I was actually, because we were talking about David Lynch's Dune earlier. Doesn't he look like one of the
navigators, spice navigators?
Spacefarers?
Yeah, the navigators. It does kind of look like that. So anyway, our little bomb device goes floating off into the ether. Obviously, you get a boom boom. And who's in the boom boom? Our little spunky koala man. Obviously, it has a knock-on effect on this spaceship here. And then, oh, look, there's this sword everybody's out to get. So, it's going to be a fight now to the death. And we'll see what happens with that in the next batch of slides that I'm just about to load up.
Because when I go to Star Trek, I look for swords.
Yeah, especially when it's
Well,
mirror universe, because that's their logo, isn't it? Basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. I just,
So anyway-
I show up here for phasers and
Yeah,
force
true.
fields and
There was
warp
one.
drives
There was like
and stuff.
2 phasers, maybe.
If you
It's
want
like-
swords, include a Klingon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, no,
it's-
they're battlists.
Yeah, I
Battlists
know,
are
but
different.
they've also got sort of like the small ceremonial ones. Worf has one. He
They're
uses
tough.
it for close quarters hand to
Oh
hand.
yeah, like the ones in The Search for Spock.
Mm. Yeah.
Which I thought were quite good because that prop was reused so much in Next Gen. It was unreal.
Yeah.
So
he
anyway,
had one in Picard season 3 as well. And
yes, he did. You're right.
But he did have a phaser. He just didn't want to use it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway,
he forgot he could stun people.
True. So San gets obviously defeated, and then the Darusian crystals on the continuum transfer. Did anybody else watch Dude, Where's My Car, or is it just me?
I've never seen Dude, Where's My Car? And I don't
So-
know whether or
No,
not
I
I should
haven't
Last time I saw it was
apologize.
about 20 years ago.
I'm kind of thinking I'm talking to myself in this respect. So anyway, the Darusian crystals
wrong
are all
with that.
little, and it's been activated by Georgiou, and it all gets to a point where, you know, we know where this is going. She wants a bit
No.
of. She wants a bit of. Yeah, we know what she wants.
Yeah,
So she's
My
prepared for the
Sharona.
end. Yeah, definitely. She wants
only
his
gets it up
nags.
from the touch of the
I'm
younger
so glad
side.
we've skipped over all the sex that's in this TV show.
There was
All of
only
the
one.
sex? I didn't. This was
There was
There's
only
just
one
so
sex
much of it.
scene. There was only one sex scene, and that was with the Andorian and whatever the hell it was.
Yes.
If you remember,
I
during the
do.
chase scene
Mhm.
in the
Never-
in the club. So they were accepting the fate. There's this convergence, and anyway, big explosion, and you get this.
Now I have a
and-
question. I have a
Go
question.
on.
So Georgiou is holding, the
That
head
bomb.
of TikTok from Return to Oz without the
Yeah.
mustache, and Quasi has to choose between, or figures out how to beam them up. So where did the bomb go? Because if she's holding it,
yeah. How
wouldn't
did it
that-
blow up?
It would have been transported. Yes.
It wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It
Am I
was.
crazy?
No.
No,
you're
you're
not
not.
crazy.
You're
They
not.
skipped the part where they showed us how it was.
That's
transferred.
right. The plausibility in this premise was just totally blown completely to smithereens because, they get beamed out. That device is still on that ship. Isn't it going to destroy our universe instead of collapsing that ion convergence?
Yes.
Dunno.
Which I thought was
Well,
total bollocks.
Yeah. There's a doorway open. Surely
Mm.
an explosion will go both ways.
Yeah.
So anyway, yada yada
Yeah.
yada. Movie's ending.
Exactly.
Yes. Let's
Exactly. They
let's
just
move-
destroyed the Alpha Quadrant in both the Mirror Universe and the Discovery Verse.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
was
never
thinking
even
that.
says it passed through the anomaly or anything.
Mm. But, the power of bad writing. So Rachel Garrett's on the floor, and then our heroes, or anti-heroes, are looking down at her. Did you notice that bridge design at one point? Kind of looks like the Nostromo in places. The
Oh,
Nostromo Bridge. That lighting.
yeah, I can see it. I
yeah,
thought it was
I
a
see that.
redress of the Lacerina.
Yeah. So anyway...
Yeah, I see it more like the warehouse ship. Yes. That's what I mean.
Everybody's all lovey-dovey. They're all friends. Rachel
We did
Garrett goes in
it.
for a hug. Obviously, she's like, get the fuck off me, bitch, before I do your head in.
Yeah, this is where they do the unearned.
And then you've got the,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
So-
look at me. I'm so good. I've saved the universe, but destroyed my universe. So, again, she's proved to be the ultimate executioner par excellence by destroying her own universe. And there it is. There's this anomaly, this ion convergence collapsing. There we go. Singularity closed. Everybody's happy. And I promise only one more set of slides because I'm fucking bored with this shit already. So anyway, skip to the final
This-
transmission.
This
Just one
pissed
second,
me
love.
off.
Just one second,
Sorry.
Scotty. So we go 3 weeks of your Earth weeks later, and Scotty says,
This pisses me off so much because Section 31 is an Earth organization. It's not
Yep.
your Earth weeks. It is our Earth weeks.
Yeah, how
I'm
does
so
that
mad at
work?
this. It doesn't make any sense. If a Klingon says your Earth weeks, if an alien says your Earth weeks, totally fine with it. When an Earthling says Earth weeks, it sounds stupid.
It's stupid. This film is stupid. So,
But is
go-
this entire nightclub a Section 31 headquarters?
Well, apparently so. It is now, which is yet again another convenient plot device. So we end up back here. Does anybody even know what this bar or ship's even called? Because I can't remember.
They didn't say it once.
Oh, it's like
time.
Bahar, or they do say
yeah, they
it's like
did.
one night in Bahar or something like that.
A night in a bar.
Bahar. Yeah, that's lazy writing right there for you.
That's creative.
So we end up back in Bahar, which I suppose is Klingon for pub. Probably not.
Yeah.
So
Hey, here it is. I found it. It's Baram.
There we go.
Either way.
Baram.
And the thing is, I still don't give a fuck. Does anybody else give a fuck? No?
Nope.
I don't.
No fucks are given over here.
So we
Yeah, I
end up at
know,
this
but
scene here where Michelle Yeoh, her gusset is chewing on a G-string with our, how can I put it, our chocolate candy of Sahar. So she's looking at him, and she's looking at him in that way, like, yeah, I want you to do me right here. I don't care who's looking, just, get it out and we'll get it on. But it turns out to be our Carmeloid, Quasi. And he says, how did you know it were me? And it's like, well, I'm shit hot and I'm super duper. And we all end up round a table. But have you noticed how Garrett's dressed like a space hooker?
Yeah.
And a bit of a pirate space hooker at that, too.
Captain of the Enterprise, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
She's supposed to be undercover because everybody knows who she is at this point.
Undercover as
But it doesn't matter because they have a giant super secret staff meeting in the middle of the Bahar.
Yeah. And they don't have like 100 ships outside waiting to go. So we're all round the bar. And look who's back. But it's not Fuzz. It's Fuzz's wife. And I tried very hard to remember this name, but it was so inconsequential to the grand scheme of things that I had forgotten, and I don't give a shit. Does anybody just have a clue of what his wife's name is?
I have
Claire.
the script with me. And
Go
so
on.
the
The
script tells me
script, Jill?
her name is Wisp. I'm always
Wisp.
Is it?
But
God.
she's got a real different accent this time, and I'm looking for my husband. Do you know where he is? Blah, blah, blah. And I just thought that was just so bad writing. The dialogue was just
Merkin.
fucking embarrassing. Yeah, Merkin. I like that.
Oh.
Merkin. Yeah. It was bad. It was just... Didn't you feel like, oh God, this is making me feel dirty. Like I need eye bleach and a hot shower after this is done.
Well, but not only that, but the species in which he is or they are representing, the thing is that they're more insidious than those little bluegill out of the back of the neck from Conspiracy in the first season of Next Generation. These guys could take over anything. What is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, but they wanted peaceful coexistence.
Peaceful coexistence.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of a Bahar, or we'll stick with Bahar, because
Whatever it is.
I can't be asked to use the brain power to figure out what it was even called. So yeah, you've got this little hologram projector, and you get this fancy little, oh look, bright lights, and here we go with Jamie Curtis, who plays Control in this absolute fucking travesty of Star Trek. It's not even Star Trek, it's Trainwreck, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's terrible. What did you think to Control? Because I just thought this character was bollocks.
She can fuck right off. Politely. I'm sorry. There's no other way to put it.
Don't
She needs
hold
to
back,
fire
help
her-
desk.
She
Don't
needs
hold
to
back.
fire her agent. She did Borderlands. She's done this.
Didn't she look
there's
fucking
nothing.
embarrassed, though?
Yeah.
Didn't she look embarrassed and stupid?
She looked like she had no idea what she was saying. She literally had the script sitting in front of her, and she's just reading off it and trying to imagine what the sentence would be.
Do you know what hurt me most about this scene? Do you know what hurt me most?
Mhm.
When she was in Trading Places, I would have got a sock pregnant. And looking at her here, there's no chance of that happening at all.
But I think that this is really indicative of the tone deaf nature of anybody who is producing modern Star Trek is why Tommy Lee Jones? Why is Tommy Lee Jones in this? I want to know why they wouldn't bring back Reed. Bring back any Star Trek
Wouldn't
actor,
that have
because
been
this
great?
is
That would
where
have been very
this
good.
is where you put your Star Trek actor and say, okay, we're going to have continuing missions. I am now part of Section 31. Hell, bring back William Sadler and say he is Control.
Yeah.
Like
Or
this
somebody-
is your
somebody that
cameo
looks like
porn.
him.
And what did you do? You bring back Michelle Yeoh's best friend from Everything Everywhere All at Once? No, this is not a Star Trek movie. This is you pulling in favors, obviously.
Yeah, it's bad. A lot of people in the chat. We'll catch up with the chat just for a little while. Oof from Ash and Prism. Yeah.
Yes.
Oldest Gamer says, "Are you freaking kidding me?" No, sorry. Ash and Prism also says he watched True Lies last night.
Good
Gavin
movie.
Bowater is coming out with some crackers tonight. Inge from Sweden from Trading Places.
Yeah.
Wayfarer Project. She looks like David Bowie. Yeah, a little bit.
Take that back. Take that back. David Bowie looks better. Even now.
Not Brian says she likes Rian Johnson too. That's probably quite true. Bob Smith says that he got a sock in the family way as well.
Yes.
We've all done it at one time or another. There's no denying it if you think about it. So anyway, I'm wanting to wrap this up because it's making me feel like I need to get the Mr. Clean out and some magic erasers and give myself a good rub down. So Bahar is surrounded by umpteen ships, like about 200 ships, and they all start warping off because Jamie Lee Curtis's character Control says, "Do you want to go to such and such planet 4 or whatever?" It was that
Turkana
thrilling.
4.
Is that what it was? I couldn't
Turkana
remember.
4, the home planet of Tasha Yar, and they throw it away like it's a joke. I would like to remind everybody that there is civil war, rape gangs, and murder that is just rampant on that planet. And they're like, anybody want to go to Turkana 4? But the thing is that everybody in the Federation knows about Turkana 4. So Section 31 really doesn't have to go there because it is under Federation sort of let's not go there situation. If you want to know more about Turkana 4, you can check out Legacy, I believe is the name of the episode, with Ishara Yar and the history of Tasha Yar. But like for them to drop Turkana 4 in this is like, why do you think that's a punchline? It's a tragic failure of early Federation colonization, and you're going to make it like, anybody want to go to the rape gang planet? Ooh.
Maybe. I mean, this is sort of like TOS era. Maybe they're instigating the Civil War.
You never know.
No.
So it's entirely their fault.
Well, I thought the planet, if there's all that rape gang stuff going off, I thought it might have been called Bradford 6, but never mind. Moving swiftly on. Didn't you think it looked really stupid when Bahar transformed and it sort of wound itself in? What about all those people in those rooms? They would have been fucking squashed.
That's exactly what I said in the backstage. I said when I saw the space station, I thought, well, that looks like a ridiculous design, but at least it's not moving.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens at the end.
Yeah.
So, super secret organization, a shit ton of ships, they all warp off. And then this piece of shit, it warps off too. And I just want to get that shit off my screen because I am absolutely fed up of talking about this shit. Luckily, there's only 6 and 3/4 minutes left of the show, and I'm damn glad. Any final thoughts? Jill, I'll come to you first.
Well, and speaking to those last moments of that episode, so you've got me trained to not say movie any longer in terms of
straight to DVD.
Oh goodness, straight to DVD. There were a lot of hints of, oh well, this is a TV series, like you said. There's going to be more. We're going to have Jamie Lee Curtis as our head of whatever, and we're going to bring her back, and we're going to continue to make more of this because everybody loves it. They want more, but nobody wants this. No, nobody does. Even the most. I don't like any of New Trek at all, but there are lots of people who do, and even they don't want this.
Yeah, it's funny. Like people have said in the chat so far tonight, everybody can agree whether you like New Trek or Old Trek. everybody hates this piece of shit so bad already. And it's only been out 2 days. Everybody is literally fucking this up the arse with a rusty rake sideways. Scotty, what are your impressions, final thoughts?
I am, tepid on New Trek. I'm not as much against it. But I do understand that it is a lower bar than classic 735 Trek, everything up until the end of Enterprise. And I would say that I would happily watch anything else than this middle of the road, generic, useless science fiction pap that has nothing to do with Star Trek aside from a couple of references. It embodies nothing of what I recognize in Star Trek. It does nothing to further any of the lore. All it does is put a hood ornament on a piece of shit and say, well, come on, you used to like it, didn't you? Like, fuck this in its stupid ass.
It's almost as if, we'll stick the name Star Trek on something and they'll watch it anyway. They seem to think us as fans are fucking stupid and gullible. We're not, because it's been proven time and time again that since 2005, any Trek after that date has been an absolute clusterfuck. Nobody gives a shit about it. Nobody's interested in it. And the people that do claim that they like it, they're just lying. They're just saying, yeah, it's good. It's, yeah.
This year there was a film that came out and it was called Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And people argued that it was like, this isn't a Mad Max movie. There's no Mad Max. But you could recognize the world of Mad Max in Furiosa. And
Definitely.
so it was a part of that world. And if you want to call it a spin-off or it wasn't your cup of tea, that's fine. I'm not here to plant a flag in Furiosa. But what I'm saying is that at least it felt faithful to the world in which it was representing. And this does not. As I said before we started, or actually I said at the very beginning, this is worse than the worst Fast and the Furious sequel. This is something that is a pale comparison to anything that I know about Star Trek. And I can't wait to talk about it tomorrow.
Or just science fiction in general.
It's not science fiction. This is
that's
action
what I'm saying.
fantasy.
This is more like science fast food. And Scotty, you make a very good point. With Furiosa, the world in which that film was set, the world building was there, and the people who produced that film and wrote it were true to that world building that was already there. It built upon the foundations. It didn't drag them down and try and reinvent it into something else, like what Kurtzman does with his 25% less Trek. You don't mess with it. If it's working, it's good. You don't mess about with it. And I think Eugene Roddenberry, or Rod Roddenberry, as he likes to be called, he's got a lot to answer for. He's just doing it for the money, I think. And his dad's he's just using his dad's name. He's just milking it. He's just milking this. This is a gravy train for him now.
Yeah.
If his mother was still here, I don't think New Trek would exist.
I agree completely, because she loved the fans and she loved.
Yeah. Majel Barrett would have stomped on any of this shit before it got off the ground. And I think, sadly, when she passed away, Rod just went, yeah, I'm going to make some cash off this. Screw this. Screw what my dad built and this wonderful utopian universe that as a species we can all aspire to be better than what we are. And he's lowered it down to just pure greed, I think.
Yeah, that's what Star Trek is to us, but to him, it's just, this is what my dad left me in his will, and I'm gonna squeeze as much of it as I can.
Yeah, I can get a new Mustang next year.
Yeah.
Oh
sadly.
dear. Help desk, you're very quiet on this final opinion. What do you say?
I'm glad it's over. This is, if they release a DVD of this, the special presentation pack basically will come in its own bin to save you throwing it away yourself. This is it. I will be wiping this from my memory as much as possible. Section 31 is dead. That's it.
Yeah,
it's done.
Pretty much. I'm going to start and thank each and every one of you. Jill, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on my stream and giving us your time tonight. I really do appreciate it. Thank you ever so much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to be able to talk about Star Trek. I enjoyed the conversation, and I enjoyed the pace of your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Scott,
Go on.
And I will be. I do want to mention that I will be talking about it also on Wednesday on my channel.
Cool. If you send me a link, I will give you a bit of a plug via my Twitter. Right, we've got less than 20 seconds. Scotty, just a quick wrap up, please, mate.
Thank you for making me angry. I appreciated this past hour and a half of being very upset about the state of Star Trek. So, but also thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is great. I love talking about Star Trek, even if it's not good.
This has been a long time coming, and I thank you ever so much for joining us, Scotty. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And now we've run over time a little tiny bit. Help desk, as always, sir, an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
I do always enjoy these. Thank you very much to the chat for your fantastic comments. Thank you to the panel. And thank you, Trev, for having me on once again.
Hey, my pleasure. And thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody who took the time to stop by, have a look at what we were doing, see how we were roasting things nice and toasty. And thank you to everybody's participation in the chat. Thank you once again, and join us next Monday for another Monday Night Mayhem. I have absolutely no clue what we're talking about. Hopefully, some franchise somewhere will drop the ball massively, and we can roast that